You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters, let's talk about the Cleveland Browns and their quarterback situation. Got an interesting piece from The Athletic, Cleveland Browns insider, talking about that Ravens-Eagles situation. And there's a very notable quote in there from an opposing NFL coach. Don't know who it is, but their evaluation of Shedeur Sanders is troubling, to say the least. And we certainly, what he is saying matches what we saw in the preseason during that Rams preseason game. I also think that, look, we're not taking a step back and just looking at what we know. If he's sharing reps with Bailey Zappi, what are we even talking about? That is one thing to sit back and think. A guy that I don't think the Chiefs wanted, or he ended up, they grabbed him off of I think they cut him out of the league, and then the Browns picked him up, put him on a practice squad. He was with the Patriots and couldn't clearly beat out Mac Jones when Mac Jones was trash during that entire fiasco involving Joe Judge and Matt Patricia. Bailey Zappi could not actually beat out Mac Jones. Like, they'd put him in for 2 games and he'd suck and Mac Jones would come back in. That's who Shedeur is now competing with. I don't know. This certainly, what I'm saying here and now, certainly plays into what I've been saying. The Browns are going to take a quarterback in 2026. Dillon Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, likely neither one the guy. Although I do think Dillon Gabriel's got some potential, Shedeur's got potential. But there's clues that tell us the Browns aren't loving what they're seeing from Shedeur, I think, behind closed doors. The Browns may have picked up their first win of the season this past week, but they still appear headed for a top pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. While veteran Joe Flacco is still the starter, rookies Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders are expected to get a chance to play later on down the season. The Browns have to know what they have in their rookies from Oregon and Colorado before they get to the next crop of young QBs for next April. In a segment on his radio show, Ken Carman in 92.3 The Fan predicted that Cleveland will be back at the quarterback well in 2026. Quote, get comfortable with one of these QBs because you're going to take one. For Browns fans' sakes, I'll say this. You better hope and pray Drew Allar puts it on Oregon on Saturday. Then on November 1st, puts it on Ohio State, because you'll be a lot more comfortable then. Even if the Browns put together a somewhat solid season, they are still armed with 2 first-round picks heading into the spring that would allow them to move up the draft board to pick a signal color they're interested in. Quarterbacks that headline the 2026 class, this is a class we've talked about, includes Penn State's Drew Allard, LSU's Garrett Nussmeier, South Carolina's LaNorris Sellers, and Clemson's Cade Klubnik, who Cade has fell straight on his ass this year so far. It's shocked every one of these draft pundits so far how badly it's gone for Cade and Clemson. I know most pundits had Clemson in the playoff. Regardless, Gabriel and Sanders will get a chance at some point down the stretch to prove that they have what it takes to be the Browns' long-term QB. And as long as we're naming guys in the draft, John Mateer from Oklahoma, who's hurt, and I think he's now going to miss time. I think I saw that. That's going to suck. I hope he's back for Texas OU, because I want to see Arch Manning versus John Mateer. But he's played real well. I am not a Drew Allar guy at all. Garrett Nussmeier, yeah, that's a guy. I like him a lot. LaNorris Sellers, definitely a guy. But I think he's going to end up coming back next year, like Arch. But his stock is real high. It's real high. Man, if you could somehow get LaNorris Sellers, you consider yourself lucky. But I'd rather have him after another year in school. For a piece published on Wednesday, Cleveland Browns reporter Jason Lloyd of The Athletic explained why the Sanders camp, quote, made a big mistake with handling the pre-draft process that resulted in the Browns taking a flyer on signal caller via the 144th overall pick. Quote, had Shedeur developed as Jackson's backup for a year or two, the Ravens could have used well-placed media sources to build his stock enough to trade him to an organization that needed a starter in exchange for something higher than a fifth-round pick. Lloyd wrote, Sanders would have been better prepared to start the NFL after sitting and learning for multiple years inside one of the NFL's gold standard franchises, and the Ravens would have received a worthy return on their investment of a fifth-round pick. That's crazy. During a recent appearance on the New Heights podcast, Deion Sanders hinted that Shedeur Sanders didn't want to spend his entire debut pro campaign learning the football life while sitting on the bench. That said, Lloyd noted that one unnamed NFL coach said during the summer that Shedeur Sanders, quote, plays on tape delay, and he is, quote, incredibly late delivering the ball. I mean, nowhere close to where the ball should go on some plays. Yikes. That is a scorching, scathing indictment of what they're seeing on tape. We saw it in the Rams preseason situation. That nightmare had to do with hanging on to the ball too long and not getting the ball and letting it go. By the way, Caleb Williams got the same problem. The difference of the two is Caleb is just more talented. He's faster than Shedeur, and he's got a hell of a much bigger arm than Shedeur, which gives him an advantage over Shedeur Sanders. And he's got Ben Johnson. That if anybody's going to save Caleb's career, it's the guy they got in Chicago. And I'm not convinced he's going to make it either, to be honest. That hanging on to the ball too long and not being able to play in timing and rhythm, just made a Russell Wilson video talking about the same thing. Sean Payton was like, F this guy because he can't play in timing and rhythm. And this was after a 10-year Hall of Fame kind of career from Russell. Coaches want somebody that can play in structure and run their offenses. I don't know. It's going to get interesting. Do I think Shedeur starts this year? Yeah, I do. I think fans are going to get to see that because I think the owner wants to see that. I think you're going to see Dillon Gabriel this year. Now, I've got a strange question, though. If Dillon Gabriel looks as competent as he looked in the preseason, let's say he comes in and he's just a bunch of solid 63%, maybe a 2-to-1 touchdown interception ratio, which really ain't good enough these days, but as a rookie is acceptable and shows he can run the offense. Do you really not draft a quarterback high and you go with the 5'10" quarterback? The 5'10" small quarterback versus these other guys coming out and calling LaNorris Sellers like 6'4", 240 or something. It's a big-ass dude with a rocket arm. I mean, LaNorris Sellers is impressive. If he stays in another year and continues down the path and even comes out this year, he could be the number 1 overall pick this year, 2026, or in 2027. Now, the difference is in 2027, he's going to have to compete with Arch as the number 1 overall pick. Because, look, for all the shit that we've given Arch is going to figure it out. And then we're going to look up 2 years from now and go, oh, shit, he's going to be the number 1 overall pick in the draft. Tell me what you think. Man, this Shedeur Sanders thing is just nuts. It continues to be nuts. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.